Hi and welcome. So I'm going to do this video about the Scorpio moon, and we're in this Scorpio moon as I film the video, and this is really to really empower your emotional process by sharing my experience of what it is to engage with the ceremony and the magic of the energy of Scorpio, and on what that highlights. Really, it's a deeper dive. What does that highlight in a deeper sense? Well, that's the point. Because Scorpio in itself is it's an element. It's not just an element, it's energy, and not just an energy. It's a quality and not just that, and it's a characteristic, and it's more than that, and yet it is nothing. You know, it's purely a way for us to track our connection with the stars, the cosmos, consciousness, our involvement. It's purely a way that we track and use as a timing device, like a watch. But beneath that, there is something else. And that's, you know, beneath astrology, it's not really about the astrology, because it's what that is a container. You know, you don't go to the house to look at the walls, you go to be with the people, you go to engage with the space, and the space holds something. There's a resource, there's a content there, and so in that space that this constellation holds space for, it generally tends to hold 3D space. So we're looking at what is held in the 3D space of something that is intangible, that is beyond 3D, that is beyond dimensions. It's the soul, it's God essence, goddess essence. It's who we are, where we came from, where we're going. It's beyond you know, all of these are frameworks. A language communicates content from the heart, from the mind, from the body. It's not really about the language, it's what's behind the words. And the same with astrology. We're communicating something of the soul and of cosmic, of consciousness, of our involvement. And I want to use Scorpio in this video as a way to look into the emotional waves that we have. And how this offers us real opportunity to process, and the way that we might do that. So to start this, I want to talk about what is the characteristic of Scorpio, and that allows us to understand the energy that we're processing. So the energy is fixed energy. It's like, I recently heard someone say, it's like ice, fixed water. Scorpio is water, which relates to emotions, and the fixed energy is that mode of the element water, which is a fixed mode, and it could be ice, it could be deep in the lake, at the very bottom of the ocean, of the lake, of the ocean. I say lake because it's more stagnant, and Scorpio is a stagnant energy because it's fixed. What is held there in the deep of our emotions? So then we get to the crux of this sort of cavern, and the gender. I mean, astrology uses genders, but you know, we're in a time where we're not focusing on masculine and feminine in the same way, and now it's sort of more, you know, the fluidity of it. And so I like to use yin as a description, because yin is an esoteric Eastern way of seeing an energy that's not necessarily feminine, though it is as well, but it's a relaxed, downward, inward, negativa, darker, as you might say, inward space. That's why I say dark. And then yang is out and bright. So it's the difference between being in the house and being outside. So all of that portrays a way to go deep in and deep dive into the emotional space that without our consciousness, see, it's without the consciousness, they become stagnant. But it's really only the conscious awareness, and it's really only bringing in the mind, which is the conscious awareness, and the heart, which are very solar, fiery energies, into a space of deep, stagnant, emotional stuckness. And as you go deeper into that, you know, it's like the pirates at sea. They go deep to find the treasure chest, and as they go into the waters, it's down the deepest part, and what is in the treasure, you know, what will you find? Or are you afraid to go scuba diving? Are you afraid of the deep end of the pool? Are you afraid of the overwhelm? Are you afraid of the taboo? Are you afraid of seeing naked people? Because all of this is, I say that because it's all about the hidden and the deeper space. You know, of course we're afraid of seeing loads of naked people because it's not what we're used to. And that is a symbol of, you know, of what are we unaware of, what is repressed in us. Not that we should become like naturalist society. I don't know, this is not about that, this video, but it's what in what ways, because there are absolute markers of our society which we repress so much, you know, whether it's social conventions in speaking. How are you? I'm great, thanks. I mean, you know, it's not that we are going to suddenly be like, actually, I feel like shit today, to someone who we don't know, because it just might not feel appropriate. But the fact that we just feel we need to say good stuff, you know, is always a sign that our society is repressing a great deal. Like the psychological iceberg image, you see the tip, but then beneath there is this pointed, you know, it's down, roots into something, and that is rooting us into our source. That is rooting us into who we are. It's not rooting us into an evil entity or a scary thing that would overwhelm us. But the deeper we go into it, we start to connect to the treasure. And the treasure box is the toolkit of kind of, you could say, alchemy, of magic, of transformation. And I'm going to use those words because Scorpio loves that. The shamanic alchemy transformation from the dark to the light and beyond dark and light, but seeing it as a purpose, a threshold, a space holder for this reality that is hidden from us. And it yet is not hidden, because bringing the consciousness of awareness, that shining light beam into this space, is a torch. Now, what is the purpose for this? You know, it's not just doing loads of self-work for the sake of it, or it's not just, you know, over emotionalizing things, and, you know, we have to set boundaries to it, but it's also, you know, the problems that we see in the world and the injustices that we want to act about, and the you could say, you know, the real control or slavery of many different aspects of the psyche, whether it's through people groups or through different countries or government agendas or any of these things, or just emotional suffering, comes down to our own inner awareness of that. You know, if we are unaware of the shadow pain that we feel around maybe the work that we do, and we repress that, whilst we might be working in a beautiful space, you know, that energy is still existing, and for someone else on the planet, they are experiencing slavery and servitude to a work camp. So whilst there's so many of us, one person might feel that they are incapable to change any of these things. You know, sex trafficking, pollution in the sea, oh my gosh, there's so many things, but we might feel that we're so small, but we actually have the gateway in our bodies to reach these deep, deep, deep knots of scenarios that are actually all available to us to access in the consciousness, and it's through the body, and that's why, you know, Scorpio is a yin feminine quality, and the emotions run through the body and they become stagnant in the body. Generally, Scorpio is seen as the reproductive system, the sexual organs, because it's ruled by Mars. And in this passionate space is where things can get stuck. And if things are unconscious there, that's where we can really be quite abused and manipulated, because when you can control, it's these energies of creativity allow us to move forward, and if these are repressed, this creative energy of the womb or the and this general sexual organs, pan, masculine, feminine, when these feel repressed, then our energy to rise and surge and be creative, and also in relating to Kundalini energy of self-empowerment and life flow, which is basically healing and immunity, because it's that Kundalini serpent of the staff of Hermes, the caduceus, that is the free flow of energy that allows us to heal in our bodies and balances the hemispheres so we can see truth and see our own intuition and connect to God or goddess source through all of our beingness. When this is free, we are emancipated, and we can move in freedom towards any direction that we need, and we will make a way. Now, this is the kind of emancipation for slavery, and it happens. Our piece that we can do on an internal level is to work with these repressed shadow emotions, and to trust that as we go into this emotional dive, that there is the toolkit there. And this is going to look different for so many of us in different ways of processing energy flow. A lot of the time it might be like, for me, I sit with the energy, I feel it, I listen to it, I really experience it. But then, how do we move with that? Because then it can become stagnant. How do we then engage with the fire? How do we engage with the earth to stabilize everyday movements, genuine, everyday, slow improvement movements of self-love and affirmation? If you look at Taurus, which is the opposite to Scorpio, we have Venus that rules Taurus. And Venus is self-love and affirmation. Venus is sensuality, freedom to be yourself, and stable and solidified, and everyday reliability, that you will meet that part of yourself every day. With that hand in hand, we can dive into any overwhelm, any emotional peak and trough, because in that space we have the power to bring the light. So if we have that power, why do we not do it? Is it because we don't believe we have that power that we don't go into the shadows of our own life, or the shadows externally? Maybe you're an activist, maybe you're working in places of metaphorical darkness or difficulty and challenge, or maybe this is you're just totally not aware of that. And I can't speak for that, because for me it's very relevant. So bringing the fire and energizing the fire, because Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, so using that as the lens to which I'm talking about this. Mars is the passion warrior, fighter of freedom. So he is there, and how can we empower this archetypal narrative? Mars also rules Aries, so there he is in full flame of initiating the new seed of action and independence, and rooted to the ground in who I am, and overcoming those wounds. So there's a real powerful phoenix aspect that comes through Scorpio, because it's harnessing the energy of the summer fire energy to plunge you through the depths so that you can just fire yourself through. So it really is going into it, but knowing that you have the potential to catapult through and to hold it all, to rise up. What does that look like? And a lot of the time it is moving. For me, it is embodiment. For me, it's moving the energy through dance, through practices, through yoga, through movement, through running, through walking, through being in nature, grounding as the element of Taurus, and allowing that emotional flow to come through. It might be through communication, through journaling, through counseling, all of these practices, through maybe for women menstrual awareness, to understand the magical alchemy cycles that our womb goes through, which is very heavily resonating with Scorpio. And through these methods, we start to connect to the deep empowerment of our power. And we start to realize that in our powerlessness of total pain, in that powerless space, we discover the true power. Because as I was reflecting on today, looking at a lot of us born in the 90s have Pluto in Scorpio, and in the late 80s. And I was just meditating on what an amazing placement it is for Pluto, because it really resonates to the characteristic of power being so shrouded and hidden that we must go in to find. Really, it's an initiation, it's a journey, it's a pilgrimage. But when we find and dust off that power, it's truly pure, because we've done so much work to just be able to really connect to ourselves. That in that space, that power is enabling us to rise, but it's not only for ourselves. Because Pluto is a subconscious planet, it's a planet of everything, because it's the furthest out planet that we can see. So it's literally holding this conscious space. So it's for everyone. And Pluto also stands for the outcast, for the riches of the unseen, the riches of the one who is not seen, or the riches of the pauper, of the impoverished and orphan. That power. So I speak here of undergoing and moving through that energy, and I hope that this has empowered you to feel into this sphere that is available to you, this arena that is available to you to engage with, to bring to the surface ever more emotional reality or shadow reality, so that you can be cognizant with it, resonant, engaging with it, speaking about it, moving with it, so we can help heal and transform the places of pockets of darkness, of difficulty and challenge on our planet together. So blessings to you, and thank you for being on this journey with me.